So on behalf of the Circular Buildings Coalition, on behalf of the 6 organizations behind the Circular Buildings Coalition, and on behalf of Lauders Foundation supporting the Circular Buildings Coalition, and on behalf of Smith Innovation, where I am Victoria and Hannah is from, a very great welcome to all of you, and also very great welcome to a very special occasion in a way.
Wow.
And that is announcing the winners of this round of blueprint projects. And what a blueprint project is and who the winners are, we will tell you in a few seconds. So yeah, a great welcome to all of you and a great welcome to this celebration. And we hope it'll be as festive as one can be on the internet. So we might have some clapping hands at some point even there. Here we go. Anyway, we'll do our best to make the party going. And my name is Mikkel Thomasen. I'm from Smith Innovation, and I'm gonna moderate this afternoon celebration ceremony. And I think we'll start out very non-surprising with the agenda today. I will do a short introduction to the Circular Buildings Coalition. We have invited today not only the winners, of course, but also people who would like to know about the winners. So we have a broader crowd present today. And I should also say that we will record the webinar and put it on our homepage. So it would also be a useful reference for anyone who would like to learn more about the winners, but are not able to be with us right now. And after my introduction to CBC, Max Russell from ERFMI, one of the 6 CBC partners and a very prominent organization within the jury and the selection of the 6 winners, Max Russell will give an introduction to the challenges we asked solutions for, and then I will move into the motivation of selecting the 6 winners. And from there on, we will have a short introduction from each of them and from each of you. And based on that, we will leave time for reflection, questions, whatever, perhaps even more clapping hands. We'll see what happens. And a few words on CBC for you who do not know it so well. It was a coalition formed back in 2022, very much by initiative and support from Lauders Foundation. And the idea is to convene industry and thought leaders aiming at accelerating circular economy solutions and reaching the global built environment. Having said that, with particular focus perhaps on the European built environment. And the feeling at that time was the same as today, that we have seen a lot of pilots, we have seen a lot of early examples of circularity, but we haven't seen a lot of circularity economics works, we haven't seen a lot of big impact. So how could we take the early stages and make them more mature? How could we go from pilot to more mainstream solutions? And by that, making a squared industry a bit less squared, a bit more round. So these 6 organizations you see at the slide here have been the founding partners, each with a strong and particular voice within circularity, and all with the mission of creating a common language on circularity to increase the demand and also the financial drivers for circularity, enabling collaboration between the value chain and also between the value chain and knowledge institutions, and all with the aim of developing the uptake of scalable solutions. So that is briefly CBC. And if you go to our homepage, you'll see that we've been trying to do this by various means. One of them, and that was particularly prominent in the first phase of the Circular Buildings Coalition, that was simply to collect data, building the argument why circularity is important. You will see in particular that in the 4 Circular Building Pathways reports, where we have really tried to put numbers to different strategies for circularity and how that can improve the well-being of the planet, with a particular focus on carbon. And then we have also been doing reports digging into some of the harder problems to address, where the systemic challenges really get tough. So you'll also see some deep dives reports, as the aforementioned to the right of this slide. So that is one part we've been doing in the Circular Buildings Coalition. And another part, and a very important part, and a very dear part to us, is not only to talk about the problems and giving the general overview, but actually also to demonstrate that solutions are around, and actually very often that a lot of the assumed barriers to circularity are not necessarily real. There are actually solutions to a lot of the perceived problems, and so also instilling hope and kind of moving things forward. It is very important for us as part of the CBC to support bottom-up initiatives, so to support frontrunners, showing that there are real solutions to real problems. So it has been instrumental for us, both in the first phase of CBC, to support these so-called blueprint project, that is frontrunners getting financial and advice in order to get even further with the solutions. Do that in the first phase of the Circular Buildings Coalition, and also in the current phase of the Circular Buildings Coalition. And this is why we have had an open call, and this is why some winners will be presented today. And on that note, I'll hand the word to you, Max, because you have been a very important part of setting and also choosing and writing the challenges and finding the winners and so forth. Max, over to you.
Super. Thanks, Nikhil. Yeah, absolutely. So probably those in the webinar are familiar with the open call, but to give a little bit of an overview about what the open call was, how it was defined, and what some of the challenges were. Really, what were the areas that us as the Circular Buildings Coalition were really trying to activate and support from the winners to be able to build off of. So if you go to the next slide, both this and previous open calls have been centered around really, and the ambition is really trying to accelerate, as Mikkel highlighted, accelerate the adoption of circular practices around the built environment. And the way in which we have been exploring that and through our theory of change of activating that is really trying to understand and explore what are some of the key systemic challenges that are persistent across the built environment, and particularly across Europe, within the focus of the Circular Buildings Coalition. Now, how we do this is through carrying out some research to really help to understand and explore the system, the very complex system of the built environment, and really identify and highlight not the only challenge areas, but some really key and really pivotal challenge areas that are really serving as blockers to adoption of circularity at scale in the built environment. So that was similar to what we did, and towards the start of the year and the end of last year, we were carrying out some deep dive research. So building on some of the foundational work that the first phase or earlier phases of the Circular Buildings Coalition carried out, looking at material flows and other systemic barriers for circularity in the built environment. This phase and this time, we had the desire and the urge to go further, to go deeper, to really understand in a little bit more detail, where are some of those pressure points, where are some of those challenges. So, and you can look on our website. We developed 3 deep dives, one based on looking at insurance models, one looking at concrete, and one looking at the just transition as well. And so through those, we consolidated and developed these open calls, recognizing that there are really great pockets of innovation that are already within Europe, and really wanting to identify, support, and shine a light on some of the really cool initiatives that are doing some really excellent work in this space. Again, really trying to help to unlock circularity at scale. So those 3 challenges that were highlighted were based on some of the research that we carried out, as well as other engagement with a variety of different actors and stakeholders across the built environment as well, to really help to consolidate some of this thinking into the open call brief that was launched at the start of this year as well. So as a little bit of a recap of what those 3 challenge areas were, the first one being demonstrating assurance on the quality and reliability of secondary materials. Now, this is really looking at the perceived risk of secondary materials. The question of, is secondary as good as new? What happens if the reused component breaks? what happens with that? How can I be sure? What's the assurance that I can have to ease that perceived or that perception on the quality of secondary materials as well? The second challenge area was looking at how might we showcase the value of reused and secondary materials as well. So really helping to demonstrate what is that financial value or non-financial value that can be measured, that can be quantified, to really support the demand and really drive demand in secondary and reused materials and components as well. So, for example, are there different ways of accounting for circularity within the built environment? And then thirdly, is the challenge area was unlocking data and information flows to enable circularity. So really seeing a comparison between the flow of materials and the ease and ability of those materials to flow, being really linked and limited by the ease by which data can flow as well. Are we getting the right information to the right people at the right time? So how might we be able to unlock some of those data and information flows to really help to circulate materials as well? So we developed the open call, put it out into the world. Many of you perhaps also applied. We've had some fantastic applications, and we had the very difficult task and challenge of narrowing it down to just 6 as well. So I think at this point I can hand over to back over to Michiel, who will give a little bit of an overview of that process.
Yeah, I'll try to keep it simple, but as you're saying, Max, it was we received 88 applications from all over Europe and from different types of actors, small and large companies, governmental institutions and private entities and so forth. And it was really difficult to narrow it down. So we were really grateful and also quite humbled about the interest. And I think it's also a strong evidence that people are saying that there is no interest, there are no solutions for circularity. I think this 88 number proves that wrong. It also indicates that there is still a funding gap here. It's really difficult to get the funding for early stage, early market innovation. So we're really grateful for all of the applications. And I should say that obviously the 6 that are being supported now, they will have financial support and advice. We also do try to look into ways of including the other 82 applying because we think there's a lot of good stuff in there. So we hope to invite different of the ones applying but not receiving funding for some follow-up activities. So yeah, a lot of things in the 88. But today it's about the 6, and we will give them motivation for each of them in a few minutes. But I think it is important to say that we did not only choose them for the qualities in their own right, and we did not only choose them because they addressed the 3 challenges that Max was outlining. We also chose them because they are puzzles to a bigger picture of circularity, and that relates to how we can make simultaneous change, not only in the technical aspect of how we build things, but also in the financial aspect, how we make it worth in financial terms to actually go circular, but also in the legal aspects, what is allowed, what is compliant, and fourthly, the human aspect, what makes sense, what creates value, also in the things you can't measure. And we strongly believe in CBC that circularity happens when you are able to make change in all these 4 subsystems: the technical, the financial, the legal, and the human subsystems. And if you look across the 6 one we chose, you'll see that they are addressing very important questions about affordability and how to train people into circularity, how to perceive reused and recycled solutions in a more appreciative way and so forth. So I think if you look across the 6 one chosen, they are important because they are adding some of the missing pieces into a coherent system of circular solutions. Yeah, just to say that, and also to perhaps explain why we chose the 6 out of the 88. There was a bigger picture to it as well. But by the end of the day, we had the pleasure of awarding these 6 companies and organizations the grant of 75,000 euro, as well as the possibility of being part of the advisory and network activities and so forth. Yeah, I thank you for doing the clapping over there, Torre. So what we're going to do now is we'll leave the floor to each of these 6 organizations, and we will start out by Sirkulaer. And I will just, for your information, Sirkulaer, do a very short briefing on why we chose you, and you haven't seen this in this way before, but the reason, some of the reasons why we found your application really good is that obviously you address concrete. We know that this is a really bulky material with a lot of carbon potential, with a lot of carbon implications in it. So your aspect of concrete, one of the 3 challenges, concrete was a very important part of it. And secondly, or firstly, also you have this open source approach. So we have the strong belief that you will not only benefit your own organization and your own company, but also could have a wider impact for the rest of the industry in Norway and outside of Norway. And thirdly, we also find it quite intriguing that you have been a dedicated front runner for many years, but are perhaps now in a situation where you will be the one who would not like to run on your own. So perhaps by this support, giving you the ability to take it one step further. So Sirkulaer, please, an introduction from you.
Thank you. Can you hear me now? Is my microphone working? Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much for the introduction, and thank you so much for also telling me a bit more about why our project was chosen. It's really interesting to see that's sorry. Now to over to the project. My name is Emil Andresen Rygg. I'm the CEO of Sirkulaer Ressurssentral, which roughly translates into Sirkulaer Ressurssentral, which is like the baseline for why our company was established. We operate, or together with our partners, we run a large reuse hub in Oslo, Norway. But while establishing that concept, we also saw a lot of other difficulties regarding circular construction and reuse in specific, and wanted to tackle some of them through different networks, and that's some of our approach I will tell you a bit more about later. But in this specific case, we work with the project we call Refabricate in Situ Concrete, in which we try to make a documentation framework for reuse of in situ concrete. Perfect. We are 3 companies working closely together on this project. First of all, it's us in Sirkulaer Ressurssentral, which is a non-profit organization working to accelerate reuse in the construction industry through network facilitation and knowledge development projects. We work closely with the Circue, which is a consultancy firm with over a decade of experience in circular construction and specializing in reuse strategies and audits. And our 2 companies together has been developing, and Circue also owns the company Ombygg, which is the physical reuse hub in Norway that we need to handle all the logistic parts of our project when it comes to handling the concrete elements that we want to cut out and test in our projects. We have a proven track record developing these kind of methods to earlier projects through our knowledge arena. That one of the next work that we facilitate. We have developed methods for both construction timber and glulam timber and clay roof tiles, which gives us good track record and also strong foundation to further develop that method and that framework for also in situ concrete. And our shared mission is to make reuse a standard solution in the construction industry. The challenge that we try to tackle in this project is known to all of you, I guess. The massive CO2 footprint from in situ concrete and concrete in general, and the fact that it's almost never reused in construction today. We have some projects that work with it, but it's really pilot project and a low volume, so it's something that we need to tackle. But the barrier is that the industry is lacking standardized and validated method that can be implemented to make an efficient both on the handling side but also on the documentation side. and also to reduce many of the destructive tests that are being done today, and also the cost related to destructive testing of elements. But the untapped potential is quite large. In our view, it's one of the largest unlocked potentials. So for emission reduction in the built environment. So it's if we really solve this problem and make a viable and sustainable method for actually cutting out and replacing new concrete with cut out elements of in situ concretes, we have a really large potential for reducing CO2 emission. Next slide. Our approach is on the paper quite simple, but in theory a bit more difficult. It's to develop a standardized open access framework for safe documentation and reuse of in situ concrete for load-bearing structures. And it's two aspects that's important. It's both the physical handling of the elements, both with the cutout and the logistic part, and the method and procedure for that, but also the documentation procedure and at what stage that is done and at what level, and how we can try to avoid the costs related to many of the tests done today, to see if we can find a more economically sustainable way to also do this process to make it a viable product. To do this, we will, together with experts and with learning from other projects before us, try to make a method, pilot that method, both the physical and documentation part, to see what's working, what's not, and then we'll do an iterative approach with several pilots to refine the method, to have it finally openly accessed, available, shared with everyone, both in Norwegian and in English, of course. So that's the approach that we hope to do in this project. I think that was all for now. Thank you for listening, and thanks again for choosing us as one of the projects for this CBC Open Call.
Thank you so much, Emil, and we'll go on with the next presentation, and then we'll move into another product area where you have a high volume and also a very high turnover in the stream. So the next project is about flooring, and we received this application from the Flooring Institute, Manufacturers Institute, and we chose this for several reasons. One is that when we looked at all the applications, we actually received quite a lot on interior fit-out solutions, and one area that is still unsolved is some of these flooring products, and they are really in numbers, and they are not yet tackled really easily with current technology and current logistics. And then thirdly, we also find it quite interesting that we have one organization applying on behalf of a lot of organizations and companies. So we also see this as an opportunity to get a broad outreach across Europe. So on that, I think I'll leave the presentation to you. Please. And I think
thank you very much. Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, indeed.
Thank you very much for that introduction, Mikkel, and thank you for sharing the reasons for choosing us. Could you go to the next slide? I just want to briefly introduce who we are. So we are the European Trade Association for Resilient Floor Coverings. This covers PVC, rubber, linoleum, and other polymeric floor coverings. Today, 93% of what is placed on the market and what is already in situ is made of PVC. So that's our main focus today. We place a large volume on the market each year, and they have very durable, long-lasting products with 20+ year lifespans, which in one way is very good for sustainability, but on the other hand causes issues at end of life because of the presumed presence of legacy materials, in our case mainly additives such as plasticizers that were allowed when the product was made but are not today. If we could go to the next slide. This is the list of our members. So we have 15 members with very large flooring manufacturers involved who are all committed to reaching our target. If we go to the next slide, we have developed a joint ambition, which is to enable the recycling of 60,000 tons of post-consumer flooring waste by 2030. And we're starting from a low baseline for post-consumer waste. It's well below 2%. And we want to reach 10% of all flooring waste from the 2024 baseline, which is 60,000 tons. We want to do this by developing scalable, sustainable collection and sorting models, and a hub. We're looking at a hub model where we will set up hubs in countries with high volumes of post-consumer flooring, and then basically, once we have a successful hub, then try and expand it into other countries. If we go to our next slide, please, you can see after a lot of deliberation and a lot of investigation, we decided that Belgium was a good place for our initial hub. Multiple reasons. First of all, its geographic location. It's near the Netherlands, near France, near Germany, all big market for PVC flooring. It also has a very strong background or culture of recycling, which is really important. And we have already started mapping waste flows and looking at logistics processes. If we could go to the next slide, please. This is the actual process. So you can see that at the bottom left-hand corner, we are looking at, this is where the waste arises. So retailers, pre-demolition audits, municipalities and waste managers. The uplifted flooring will be delivered to a collection hub where and this is a novel bit, it will be sorted into flooring with and without legacy materials. Because our members can mechanically recycle flooring, we recycle large volumes of pre-consumer flooring already today, and we also recycle installation waste offcuts. So the recycling itself is feasible, but the material that includes legacy additives will have to go through alternative recycling processes, and we have looked at dissolution processes. We have successfully trialed dissolution processes, supercritical CO2 processes, and we are looking at microwave technology. And then the idea is that the members use the material back into their flooring with the acknowledgement that there will be some material that we cannot use. The advantage of this hub process is that we could also trial reuse on certain products where it might be feasible. And this is something that is looked at widely in the carpet sector, but has not been looked at, to the best of my knowledge, in the PVC flooring sector. If we go to the next slide, the novelty here in particular is the sorting by legacy additives looking at alternative treatments. If we go to the next slide, we can see here that a picture of the kind of flooring that we, the kind of technology that we are already looking at. So flooring near infrared, and we can then move on. So these are just some of the ideas, and we have 7 key steps. So we are coordinating with stakeholders currently, analyzing material flows. Key to this is sorting criteria development. We know that we won't, within the 6-month process, have an automated sorting facility equipment to hand, but we will have. We want to try it with handheld sorted in the first in the first instance for proof of concept. And then by the end of the process, we will have a replication toolkit, a blueprint package with guidance models and policy input. If we go to the next slide, and then just the final slide, where I would like to thank, in the final slide after this, I would like to thank the Circular Building Coalition for this award, because it's really a major enabler and milestone in our ambition. So thank you very much. I have my contact details on the next sheet if anyone would like to find out more. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Jane, for this speed talk. A lot of ground to cover. But thank you really. And we'll go on to the next one. So the first two have been defined by specific materials in a specific almost part of the building. Now we move into something that is not defined by a specific material, but more with the issue of valuation and how we ensure that we actually have some materials to work on. Material index. Firstly, you try to make the valuation of circular solutions. You make it very tangible, something that can be used to decide whether to keep or not to keep when you look at an existing building. And you provide obviously also a very strong network of partners in a UK context. And thirdly, you have this idea that you will not only develop your own company and your own solution, but also in an open source way create value to the greater public. And on that, I will leave the floor to you, please.
Great, thank you, and thank you for the selection. I'll say that now before I forget. So we're really interested in providing a solution at the tender stage of a deconstruction project where a building owner is looking to reclaim part of those materials from a building and wanting to know how much extra might it cost and what would the reclamation value be. Next slide, please. This is a problem we work on a lot in a very kind of practical way every day. We as a business provide pre-demolition audits using a digital tool. We give advice on the viability of those materials. We also look to provide advice to design and project teams on which ones can be reused on site. And we also broker and exchange materials. So we sell them to other partners who will often be selling them on. Next slide, please. And this particular problem is one that is kind of close to our heart and we think is very important in the industry generally. We know, obviously lots of people on the call will already be familiar with this, that a huge amount of our overall waste comes from the demolition of buildings. And we're really only currently reusing a fraction of that supply. And in our experience, we're seeing between 5 and 10 times as much is economically viable to reuse than is currently being reused. And there's lots of reasons around that. But particularly on larger projects, a really key one is the design team knowing with some level of reliable kind of benchmarking what additional reclamation costs might be involved and values are. There is also inevitably risks with any changes to a construction process. And so dealing with this at a contractual level, like standardized contractual mechanisms, is also something that we work on quite a lot, and we're looking to make more public as part of this project. It's very complex, but there are sort of 3 main standard contracts in the UK, and each of them handle risk in a different way. So that's the kind of ambitions of the project. Next slide, please. How are we going to go about achieving this? Well, we're focusing on residual value data sets. So what are the components worth on the reclaim market, both just after deconstruction and then when they're sold on to the final buyer. So often there's an intermediary involved. Gathering that from our own projects, but also going out to the industry. As was mentioned, I'm very keen to make this open source. It's probably worth saying that for new materials, there's large kind of benchmark price data sets already available, and that of course helps the project team make estimations earlier on. Cost benchmarks, so this is perhaps a little trickier to get, but we work with QSs and developers, but we also have set some money aside for time trials. And then of course, procurement templates, working with partner organizations there. The bottom diagram is typical steps, say building process or design process for a building goes through, and in some ways it's sort of stating the obvious, but currently on lots of projects we see the value of the materials secondhand is really only known quite late, once they're taken out of the building, and the additional cost of reclamation might only be known at tender stage, and we're really looking to make this data available earlier in the process. Next slide, please. Yeah, so this is just a big shout out to anyone who's seen similar projects across Europe. We're quite UK focused at the moment, but we'd love to see other initiatives that we can look at, but also any developers, QSs, PMs, contractors looking to get involved. We're going to host a series of roundtables, and we'll take on a lot of the responsibility of crunching the data and sharing it. And on that, thank you very much for listening. Oh yeah, and that's my email in the top right if you do want to get in touch.
Thank you so much, Morgan, for this. And yeah, we all know that cities are open mind, but we need someone to start digging. So thank you for making that possible. The next one is Biesmans Group. And one thing that was quite important for us in selecting the project is not only to choose companies that you normally see within this field of circularity, but also choosing companies that have been around for a long time and who really have the muscles to take ideas all the way through, and who are approaching very strongly a very sustainable approach. So building as a service is something we have talked about in many years in construction, but a few have managed actually pulling it off. But here we have Biesmans Group, company owned by the one making it in the beginning, with a lot of capacity to take that idea to the very end, and also addressing another part of the building, and that is relating to roof and roof solutions. So Biesmans Group, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much. We are very happy to be one of the 6 winners. My name is Leonard Schreurs from Biesmans Group. I'm responsible for the innovation management. I will first start to introduce you our company. Biesmans Group is a family-owned company, and it's a group of companies of building contractors and distributors of roof and facade products. We are active in Europe, and we are active in sustainable and functional solutions for building envelope. Next slide, please. So these are our different divisions. To start off with Review, that's a division for the distribution. And we have Tectum Group, that's a division for contracting. The third one is Roof Products Europe, where we produce small roof accessories. And last but not least, University, where we educate our own people, but also our clients. Next slide. Thank you. We have a strong focus on innovation, and it's actually the foundation of the project that we are working on today. In 2023, we released our first 100% reusable flat roof system. It was called a circular system. Regarding that system, we are shifting to reuse business models, and we did several pilot projects to reuse PIR insulation and EPDM membranes. And we also developed some products to enhance reuse and recycling. Next slide. Some figures of our company. The family started in 1981. You can find us in 48 locations. We do around 6 million square meters of roofing each year. We have 85 years of experience due to acquisition of other companies. We are active in 3 countries, the Netherlands, Belgium, and Poland. Last year, we reached a turnover of 235 million euros. We are with 700 employees, and we aim an annual growth of 11%. Next slide, please. Yes. So the challenges we are facing is that 60% of the European commercial and institutional buildings have aging flat roofs. And if we only are looking at traditional replacement, there's a high carbon emission of 30 to 35 tons per 1,000 square meters with a high upfront capex. And what we also see is that there is a limited awareness and scalable circular models for roofing. So the project we are working on is Roof as a Service, and we want to shift from product ownership to a service model. The base for reusing and apply a roof as a service is that we have to design roof systems for disassembly and reuse. We guarantee performance through real-time monitoring and predictable OPEX budgeteering. Next slide, please. So the impact we want to reach is a 40% reduction of carbon emission, 30 to 50% material savings through reuse of the materials, and 75% less landfill of waste. We aim for 3 operational Roof as a Service pilots with a contract value of 200,000 euros and adaptation interest from 5 new organizations. The scaling strategy we want to use is white label solution for asset managers, circular finance vehicle to enable rapid capex-free rollouts, and shared blueprints for sector-wide systemic change. So that's our project. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much for this presentation as well. And we, in one way, stay on the same topic as we, in the next presentation, we'll also talk about renovation. We'll move from roofing to insulation, more particularly. And also we'll move into one very important aspect of circularity, and that is also the social just transition, how we can create affordable buildings, and also how we can use this as an opportunity to train the workforce. So we chose La Rue partly because we work with insulation, a very important product if we need to upgrade our existing building stock. And we also chose you because you have this very strong commitment to social aspects and local concerns, building on local communities. And I think you by that show that it's not only about building the market, but also building meaning in a wider sense. So thank you for this, and I'll leave the floor to you.
Thank you very much, Michael, for the introduction. Thank you also for choosing us and trusting our project. So this project is called Isolution. It's a play of words in French, with the first part being isol, standing for isolation, so installation in French, and solution for solution. This project is carried by the French-speaking University of Brussels, the ULB, so by Professor Hendrik. My name is Bilal Tirba. I'm also with Mumtaz Vian. She's a renovation advisor from this non-profit association called La Rue. And this project arises from this willingness from the Brussels capital region to become carbon neutral by 2050, with this also intermediate target to significantly reduce their emissions in 2030 compared to the levels measured in 2005. So we speak about reduction of 40% average, depending on the sector. And one of the pillars of the strategy is to renovate older buildings. So one of the main sources of greenhouse gas emissions is the energy, the combustion for residential and commercial buildings, which are extremely demanding in terms of heating and cooling. And renovating older buildings, which are quite numerous and poorly performant in terms of energy retention in Brussels, they will contribute to reduce the emissions. And we estimate that up to 1.5 millions of cubic meters of new installation will be required in the next 10 to 15 years. And also, we have a few key numbers here about the impact of the building sector in Belgium, not only in Brussels, but in Belgium, in terms of water consumption, raw material consumption, but also the CO2 emissions, which account to 30% among the total contribution of the greenhouse gas emissions produced by Belgium. And so this project isolation, so it has been an ongoing initiative for the past 30 months, 2.5 years. We've got this extension thanks to CBC of 6 months. And here the idea is to promote the recovery, storage, and reuse of insulation materials, but from demolition projects at individual level. So basically, during the next 6 months, we will be conducting 2 renovations, so the renovation of 2 buildings, which will ultimately incorporate these reused insulation materials. And here the idea is so we have, let's say, implemented the first version of the reuse process, but the idea here is to improve it, to refine the complete reuse process from dismantling to installation, but in real conditions. So here the idea would be to improve the design, well, let's say to refine the design, so how to design the installation with the reused materials. Recovery and storage, so mitigate the influence of dust, of humidity in the duration, well, to ensure that it doesn't really affect the performance of the insulation. Tracking also, and testing and implementation. Testing with custom build machine. So the picture on the bottom has been built by ULB, and here the machine is quite a modular one. It allows to test different materials with different topologies. And the idea is to assess the thermal conductivity of reused materials, make sure that the performance has not been degraded too much from its new state. And then the idea would be to, at the end, implement a large database of experimental results with thermal conductivity of various materials with various topologies. We will cross-check with certified labs to ensure that the measures are relevant. And in the end, we will share a large portfolio of didactic materials available on building thermal insulation. So the next slide shows the main achievements we would like to get at the end of the project. So first of all, obviously, to show the feasibility of reusing insulation materials, reused insulation materials for a building to the large number of stakeholders. And then the key here is to demonstrate the good performance of reused materials thanks to the machine, but also thanks to the whole process that we need to let's say validate at the end. And also it was said at the beginning, but another layer of the project is this social anchoring of the project, because the buildings that are targeted are dedicated to low-income households for 2 reasons. The first one is because well, they just cannot afford the renovation project despite some incentives that can be given by the Brussels Capital Region. So it's still, let's say, a bit hard to access, but also because of the high prices of energy since 2022. So this is why we get to target these low-income households. And the second aspect is the training of workers who are willing to be integrated in the society. And then some of the funding will be dedicated to train workers, so practical training about the selective deconstruction, packaging implementations, and generally all the good practices to deal with insulation and reuse insulation. So we target 30 to 40 extra workers by February. And at the end, also, we would like to well, we have to, let's say, disseminate our results to a larger audience, so specialists from the sector. Small word about the team. So ULB has designed the machine. They will take care of the tests. We also coordinate, let's say, the project within the stakeholders. La Rue provides guidance for owners on practical and financial aspects. They will select the construction sites, and they will renovate. They will also supervise the construction sites. Casablanco, the third one, will actually perform the work within the construction site. Sorry, they will also provide the trainings for the workers. Batiter are the suppliers of reusable insulation materials, and Thermoplug is a spin-off whom we have an industrial collaboration with. They have, for example, helped us in designing the machine. They provided the relevant sensors to make sure that the machine performs accurately the tests. So we are a team of 5 stakeholders, and I will end the presentation with the next slide. So obviously, thank you very much for listening, and do not hesitate to reach out to us if you are dealing with insulation materials, and if there's any way to collaborate and share the results, we'll be more than happy to do this. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Bilal, on that one. As we said in the beginning, CBC is very much about not only creating more supply, but also creating a greater demand. And I think if we learn one thing, is that to increase the demand, you have to reduce the risk. And to reduce the risk, you need some kind of assurance. And to have that, you also need insurance on board. So, Toge, we were really pleased to see also your application working out of Denmark, looking at the insurance aspect, but also with the ambition of learning from and contributing to solutions outside of Denmark, and also building on the market structuring platform you have already made in your organization. So please, Toge.
Thank you. And first of all, just mirroring the previous comments, thank you very much for selecting us for these blueprints projects and for bringing us in on the Circular Building Coalition open calls. We are very happy to be part of it. So my name is Rue Asbl. I represent the company Circue, which is the lead on our small consortium for the project we called Reclaim, the Reclaim project. Circue is a Danish company. We today provide a digital platform for automated screening of existing building stock, allowing creation of digital product passports, material and building component overviews, embedded carbon, and so on in an easy fashion. So we are very much focused on supplying data that bridges the gap between actually market supply and market demand around circular materials. So our project focuses on the insurance industry and the role that the insurance, if you can go one step back, please. The insurance industry can play in relation to building claims management. So basically damages on building stock, fire damage, water damage, storm damage. Across Europe, there are billions of euros in building damage claims annually alone in Denmark. If you look at fire and water, we're looking above 500 million euros in cost for building damage repairs. But today, also because of legislation, it's new for old policies. That is the default in handling these claims, which means that it will be new materials that are used for repairs. So we are addressing an underlying business model, as Mikkel said, on a demand side, looking at how we can use these policies and claim management process to actually drive an uptake in secondary materials, actually using the procurement power of these insurance industries. Shift to next slide, please. So apart from Circue, who will be the lead, we're working together with the Danish company Rethink Strategy, who are really strategic business development experts in the insurance industry. And we will be collaborating with insurance industry partners to ensure a strong market relevance of this, in particular P&C, property and casualty insurance providers, as well as professional service companies who deliver claims management experts and really understand this market in depth. Within the focus area that I briefly described around claims management process, what we are in more detail looking to do is to shift this new for old insurance policy to a like-for-like approach. So basically introducing secondary materials into the claims management and the repair part. Hopefully, over time, making secondary materials a new industry standard in claims repairs. We very well know that this is not an easy task. It's a complex, if not a systemic, challenge that's also related to, as I said, legislation. It's related to data and assurance on data quality. It's related to consumer behaviors. But what we are trying to do with this project is to identify some of the core incentive models that will allow not only insurance companies to start working with this, but also engage their customers around how this can function. And we know from the communication from at least the major Nordic insurance companies that is very much something that's on their radar and something that they are very interested in engaging with. We'll have three key activities, three key outcomes as part of this project. First of all, we'll look into, of course, the existing claims management process and try to identify where are the barriers and opportunities. What is needed in relation to take a first step and really get this introduced into the insurance companies, and what is needed to scale and really take this to the next level. We'll try to develop and design an actual alternative claims management or settlement process based on secondary materials that we will then test up against actual claims cases to really get some experience there. And these first steps, these first learnings, we'll share, as Mikkel also said, in an open source format, using this hopefully as a push to drive thoughts around further adoption in not only Nordic but also European insurance companies. Next slide, please. We're really happy to be part of the Circular Building Coalition. I don't think a project like this could succeed without something like this coalition. And we're really happy for three reasons. First of all, we hope the Circular Building Coalition will allow us to explore interfaces towards European level activities on material passports, building logbooks, again, back to the data, the assurance around these secondary materials that Max also spoke to. We're very interested in engaging with stakeholders that are either working with this today, are looking to explore some of these dynamics around introducing secondary materials in the claims management process and the like-for-like approach. And we, of course, are very interested in sharing these learnings and having a dialogue around what are potential next steps. What does this mean? The insurance industry, even though there are European level regulation, it's also very much nationally regulated. So having that dialogue around how does this translate, how does this become adapted in various regions, in various markets is, of course, important. Next slide, please. If you have any insights, are interested in conversations around this, and know of cases, know of data that you think we should be aware of, stuff we aren't aware of, then please don't hesitate to reach out to either Lene Brex or myself. You have your contact information here, and we'll be very, very happy to have further conversations on this. So thank you again for bringing us in the Circular Building Coalition. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Toge, for your presentation, also your speed talk. We are approaching 4 o'clock. I guess you kind of knew that. It's always like the painter on the building side. The painter has least time, so thank you a lot for that. And I think we're going to conclude now because time is running and it's 4 o'clock. But as you're saying, Toge, the whole idea with having this celebration is not only to celebrate it, but also to provide the platform so people can reach out to each of the organizations if you have shared interest. And of course, you can also reach out to us at the Circular Buildings Coalition, addressing us here in Smith Innovation, and we will also get in contact with the other core partners of CBC and all their network. So thank you for being part of this. Thank you for the one contribution. Thank you for the one listening. I think the unique part about CBC is that it's working across Europe, but still at a very solution-oriented, bottom-up approach. And I think that is a unique and very much needed voice for the time being. So thanks a lot, all of you, for being here today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye bye.